Sir, I'll come back to you. You rightly said that the liquidity is going to increase with the financial and derivative market being introduced. But before I venture into that area, sir, what we can hear from different media reports as well as the trade journals, that around 40 gigawatt of renewable which was tendered in the last 1 year is not being off-taken or entered into a contract by the distribution company, which are the bulk buyers. And as we all know, renewable energy is being off-taken on a longer term contract. So, in such scenarios, sir, to bring further investment, I mean, again, let me recap what I said. We require almost 300 billion US dollars in another 7 to 10 years to meet the target of 500 gigawatt. Is in such scenario, do you feel that we need to do some or take some steps to attract investment and for the offtake arrangements of this unsold 40 gigawatt of renewable?
Very complex question. Who decided 500 gigawatts? Was it demand decided? Or it was something plucked out of air?
What we understand, sir, it's a national
it's a national agenda, but where is the foundation for that?
Sir, again, if I may answer.
No, please.
So this 500 gigawatt, what we could understand, that the country, as far as the EPC plan is concerned, was based on 800 plus gigawatt requirement till 2032. And we decided that for the energy transition, we will not be investing much on the conventional.
No, my only point was that DISCOMs are responsible for supplying electricity at the cheapest cost to the consumers, right? As a DISCOM, I need to also maintain the grid in my region, my state, be stable. The SLDC will demand that. So I have fixed term contracts in thermal, I have fixed term contracts with hydro. If I keep taking solar or wind, what do I do when there is solar peak generation? I think I read somewhere that on Sundays for 4 to 5 hours, the frequency is getting high because of solar. You can't back down thermal.
Now, sir, we'll come to Mr. Barpanda to explain that phenomenon.
But
that's
what I'm
very
trying to
interesting.
get across is then what do? You have to back down something.
Yes.
And I am into a fixed term contract as a DISCOM with thermal power station. I remember in 2020, Karnataka alone had to pay fixed charges when they did not use the generation, just fixed charge of 8,000 crores because of renewables. So why will a DISCOM offtake a new solar power project when it just cannot absorb it? It cannot. Just cannot. I think we need to have a radical surgery, and we can discuss that later. We have to get out of this concept of PPAs. What happens in a PPA for 25-year-old or 15-year-old? I give you a levelized cost of tariff. I am sure that this is it, so I can. If there weren't any PPAs, and these are solar and wind are just variable cost, we go to the power exchanges, then newer people will come according to the power prices. You will not force it down the gullet. Am I clear in this?
Yes, sir, but the devil's advocate, yes. So most of the time, the PPAs are helpful to get a financial closure for the investor. And there it is being used as a driver to attract investment. And if it is open-ended, or it is open for the market prices to determine. Then at times, and again, this is again an industry feeling which I am sharing with you, may not be right, but that's the fact.
I can answer that.
Most of the financing companies, particularly the lenders, are very keen to have a long-term PPA.
So I started by saying that you secure financiers for to attack project, but you thwart new projects. First point, if it is a must run, then where is the problem? Today I secure at a certain price, and it could be high, low. If I have to come in as a new developer, my land prices may have gone up, my cost of capital could have changed. Solar panel prices are not the only prices that determine the final cost of a solar project. There are so many other variables that go in, and all of them are not following a sliding trajectory downwards. So the fact that every new bid will be a lower price can only happen if you have PPAs.
Yes.
If you remove PPAs, then a newcomer will not come in till the price is over a certain level. And because of must run, I don't think any financer should have this difficulty. And that is where your financial instruments are the total basis. So even if you want to have, you can't say 0-1 binary that will stop you. Do it for 5 years. They'll start by just doing it for part of the debt taking. That I will let X% of debt, I will give a guarantee that so many years you will get. After that, just move out of PPAs. PPAs support innovation, PPAs support new projects from coming in. And in the market, new projects will come in only if it is feasible. The price signals are there. So the solution is actually to get out of this, even gradual matter.
Sir, again, Goyal up to you. During your tenure, you came out with something as an alternate to the exchanges, a platform called OTC market. Now, as we know that a bilateral market was very much in its place ever since this 2003 amendment was there, and traders or intermediaries were playing a role, and they were trying to settle the trade between point A and point B, between the buyer and the seller, through some kind of a contract. And it continued till 2008 when exchanges came, and exchanges started with very shorter duration contract, that is 1 day contract. But in 2021, there was an enabling provision of an OTC market, which is nothing but enabling provision for a bilateral contract for certainly a longer duration. So, what was your concept when you tried to introduce it, and where it stands today?
Yeah. So the main concept while we had that provision with regard to OTC was, we had made the power market two main power exchanges and then the traders. So normally the buyers and sellers would go to the traders when they wanted to go for long duration contracts. So what we found was that there was no mechanism available where that information was available to say buyers at a particular time, say who are the sellers, similar to the sellers that who are the buyers. So that is why this platform enabling provision was made, that such a platform should be there where any buyer or a seller, they should know what all is available in the market. So it was with that idea, so that once you have better information available with you, then you will be able to take better decisions. So after that regulation was introduced, so there were two persons who have applied for the OTC license, which has already been granted by CERC, and one OTC platform, they have gone quite ahead, and in fact, they also very recently they had a online launch also. So I think the main purpose was that more information should be available. Of course, while making this OTC platform, we were very clear that this will not be used for trading. So this will be sort of an information, and then these people will to have more value-added products also available in the based on the data they are able to have, so that one is the value-added products, and otherwise that on different hours of the day what kind of a power is available, so that they are able to take a conscious decision. So this is with regard to the OTC platform. So on the one thing discussion that we were having earlier and what my friend Sanjiv was mentioning, now on this I have a little different perspective. Now see, we have some sort of an international commitment that we have made, that by the year 2030 we will have 500 gigawatt of installed capacity from non-fossil fuel. So here our commitment is not only with the renewable but with the non-fossil. So when we are talking of non-fossil, so it includes hydro, wind, solar, and also the nuclear power. So with that idea, government, we had a system where we had an intermediary called SECI, and then BNL and NTPC also, they were acting as an intermediary. So they were coming out with the bids where for the say wind power generation or solar power generation. So this was done before actually you had a demand. So earlier, like when you were establishing thermal power plants, the thing is, earlier you used to have a long-term PPAs. Firstly you had the PPAs, and then based on the PPAs you would get the financial closure, and then the plants would be set up. Now we started going the other way around, but then as a policy instrument we also made that the power that is generated from the wind and solar plants, that would be must-run status. Now one thing that is happening is that once you have done a bidding, so and many a times you are not able to find a buyer immediately, whereas you already have a bid and you have a supplier. So that is a challenge where the country is going through, but then it will be surmounted over a period of time. But and also just to encourage renewable power, what we have said is that they are given the must-run status. But now once we have given the must-run status to renewable, there are another problems that are coming. Now one problem that Sanjiv was mentioning, that we have seen that during Sundays or holidays, when the industrial or the domestic load or the commercial load is less, so we find that when all the renewable power is available, particularly during the daytime, you have a lot of solar power available with you. But at that time the demand is not so much there. But then we have given must-run status to the our renewable power plants. So what is the alternative available? Because if you are not able to back down your thermal power plant or other resources, the frequency will rise. You see, there has to be balance between demand and load. So in case you are injecting more energy, but whereas the demand is not there, frequency would tend to rise, which is not desirable for the system. Your machines can break down and many other things can happen. So we have to try to purposely force some of the renewable power plants to shut down during that time. So as per the must-run status, only thing that has been put in the grid code is that in case you have a problem with the grid stability, then you can back down your renewables. Otherwise, they are given the must-run status. So that is the problem that is happening during the daytime on the holidays. Now you see the other scenario. Now what is happening that during the night time, earlier, you see, when I started my career say around 25 years back, and I was handling Delhi's power sector, so most of the peak in Delhi used to come during the period say between 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the daytime. But now the trend is changing. In most of the metropolitan cities like Delhi, Mumbai, the peak load is coming from 8 to 11 p.m. And why it is coming? Because now we have too many ACs, the climate is also changing, disposable incomes are increasing, people want to have more luxurious and good life. So people come home after work, so everyone switches on the ACs. Earlier we used to have one AC in one room, now we have ACs in every room. All ACs are at full blast, the doors are open. So many things are happening, the consumer behavior is changing. Now during these times, during the peak hours, say 8 p.m. to 11 p.m, at that time the solar power is not available. Now say out of 460 gigawatts, we almost have 100 gigawatt of solar. So at a time during the daytime, we have almost 70 gigawatt of solar generation that is taking place. Now the thing is happening is that during the night time, we are having the peak. But at that time, the solar power is not available to you. So that is becoming a big challenge, and that is the whole issue, how you are able to integrate your renewables into the system. So for that, what we are trying to do, I mean, firstly, our thermal plants, they had a minimum turndown level of 55%. So our CA, Central Electricity Authority, they have come up with a new regulation where we will try to have our thermal power plants for which the minimum turndown level would be 40%. Of course, it needs some investments and the technological changes, but that is the thing. So that why we want to bring it down from 55 to 40? So that in case, say during the daytime when the solar is available, we are able to run the thermal plants at say 40% of their peak load, and thereafter during the night time when we don't have the solar plant, we are able to ramp them up and get them at. So that is how we are aiming. Other than that, also what is needed is that we need more and more flexible sources of power. So that is why government is giving a lot of stress on hydro generation. Of course, we have not been so successful over the past few years. Hydro generation project implementation takes time. There are concerns of environment, rehabilitation, resettlement. So that is why hydro generation additional capacity has been less in India. But like it's only around 10% of our total installed capacity, and the total potential that has been exploited is only around 30%. So a lot of focus is there on hydropower, and for that CERC also in their regulations this time, they have given that the more return on equity would be provided to hydro generating plants. One reason is that the long gestation period, otherwise also we want to attract hydro thing. So that is how this thing is, and along with that, when we are going for the energy transitioning, and again we are going to add more and more renewable capacity, so there would be a position when we will have surplus capacity available during the daytime, particularly when the sun is shining. So that is why a lot of emphasis also being laid on storage systems. So both on battery storage systems and pumped hydro storage systems. Now again the emphasis is that whenever the surplus power is available to you, you are able to store that energy, or you have the able to pump up the water, create potential energy and use that energy when the solar power is not available. But of course, at present the battery storage systems are little expensive. They are all based on lithium ion technology, which is little expensive, and there are also issues of the availability of the material and supply chains. So that is why the research is going in the area of sodium ion batteries. The sodium is redundantly available element, and so that is the way. So the focus is there on battery storage systems, hydro pump storage systems, and then try to also add more and more hydro capacity, because they are very good flexible sources of power. They can be shut down and shut on very easily as compared to thermal generating plants. They have to run at technical minimum 40%. So these are the few things I thought I will just mention just to say that.
These are all very pertinent points which you mentioned, and particularly managing the grid during the energy transition. A lot of things are happening, particularly BESS and its role, what will be the cost dynamics of it, then the pump storage, how much gestation period it takes, and where do we stand today and how much time it will take. A lot of dynamics are there, but yes, these are some fundamental things on which we have to plan our system for future, and in another 7 years, because the gestation period for a solar may be as low as 7 months, and a gestation period for a pump storage can be as long as 7 to 10 years. And similarly, BESS, which we are harping upon, can be, we have started with a 20 megawatt unit or 20 megawatt hour unit in Delhi, which is the first one. Mumbai is trying to have another 100. So these are very small compared to 460 gigawatt of capacity. But yes, of course, these are the things which we are the steps we have to take. And you are very right that in a portfolio, we have to keep balancing of all these things to manage the grid frequency as well as the market conditions. Barpanda ji, I'm coming back to you. One of the subjects which we have discussed a lot when you were there in Grid India was the ancillary market. And as well as understanding the grid balancing and maintaining the system operations per se, from a system operator's perspective, ancillary market seems to be something which is very, very urgent and necessary. Where do you see the ancillary market today, and what are the steps we should take to create this kind of a market, particularly when we are thinking of bringing the scheduling time from 15 to 5 minutes?
So in India, ancillary services came first time in 2016. That time it was called Reserve Regulation Ancillary Service. Only it is tertiary ancillary service. So let me first explain why ancillary is required. Because when the system is there and many entities are, there are consumers, there are generators and different types of, they may deviate from schedule because exact forecasting is not possible. When renewable generation is there, renewable will also deviate from schedule. So to take care of all these changes, some tools should be available with the system operator. So this tool was given to the system operator for the first time in 2016, and the unrequested surplus power available at central generating stations, say NTPC mostly, NTPC, NLC, all these. So the unrequested surplus power was used to be dispatched by NLDC. So there is up regulation, there is down regulation. Up regulation to take care of low frequency. So if some margin was available at some generating station, that was used for up regulation. If some down regulation, if some downward margin is available, so minimum turnout level at that time it was 70%. So beyond that, if some margin was available, so that was used for down regulation. So there is a starting point. Then CERC came up with a standalone regulation on ancillary services in 2022. So that regulation provided for both tertiary as well as secondary. Primary in any case is mandatory as per grid code. So secondary it is not market based right now. In future maybe we will go for market based secondary service also. So secondary it is automatic generation control, signal sent from central location to all the generating stations. And tertiary again it is similar to what was there earlier also, but now it is market based procurement. So any entity who is desirous of providing tertiary ancillary service, they can bid in the market through power exchanges, and those bids will be accommodated by NLDC. Then NLDC, based on estimate of ancillary service requirement, they find out which are the bids cleared. If those bids, if they are dispatched, then they are paid as per market clearing price, and if they are not dispatched, then they are given commitment charge, subject to a ceiling of 20 paisa per unit. So this is the mechanism right now, and in future changes can be somewhere either secondary, it can be market-based procurement. Then more and more resources will come up, storage, all this they will also provide these services. Then other blasted is also an ancillary service. Then voltage control. So all these will gradually develop. They evolve over a period of time. Generally, voltage control is a local phenomenon, and frequency is global phenomenon. So these have to be developed to provide a good service to the power sector.